Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, and today we're going to go over the recap, kind of recap the video I did about my week 6 predictions and demonstrate how little apparently I know about college football. Obviously, I did predict that Michigan would beat Wisconsin. They did, 24-10, I believe. I said the score would be something like 30-10, 31-10, so I was only off by a touchdown. So that part was good. But, I believe I said that I thought Mississippi State would upset Texas A&M. I was wrong about that, but there was some other rather, interesting, um, upsets, as you might be aware of. UCLA upset Penn State, a monster upset, and, while I don't think Penn State will fire James Franklin because of the enormous buyout that would entail, Penn State, they need to do something. They have fallen flat way too many times against way too many opponents of superior and inferior. Something has to change, and whether it's coaching or culture, I don't know. That was insane. Um, so the other stuff, South Florida beat with Charlotte, predictable. BYU beating West Virginia. West Virginia is awful this year. The other one I said I thought Iowa State would beat Cincinnati. Apparently, I was wrong about that. Uh, Illinois beat Purdue. I do believe I called that. Georgia beat Kentucky. I mean, that was predictable if nothing else. Virginia Louisville. I thought Louisville might have been able to pull it off, but they did not. So there's that. Vanderbilt and Alabama. I did watch part of that game. Um, Vanderbilt kept it close for a fair bit, but eventually that talent disparity did show itself. And Alabama is playing like a top tier team again to a certain extent. They have some things to clean up, but they're playing pretty well. Notre Dame beat Boise State. Saw that final score. That not surprising, really. Now the Kent State Oklahoma score 44-0. Now in and of itself, that's not a surprise. However, it is imperative for Michigan that Oklahoma keep playing at a high level and stay highly ranked because Michigan lost to them. So that looks like a quality loss the higher Oklahoma stays. So hopefully that continues. And realistically, if Oklahoma went undefeated, I'd be happy because that would mean Michigan. That would count if Michigan only has one or two losses on their resume, and they're from top 10 teams. That's a good look, obviously. So I'm glad Oklahoma won. So ironic in itself. Texas Tech beat Houston. Texas Tech is looking for real until they play somebody that you know a better level of competition. Hey, they're in our rankings, so we'll see what happens there. Texas A&M beat Mississippi State. Like I said, I had chosen them that to be the upset. Clearly, I was wrong. So yeah, shows how little I know apparently. Minnesota got their doors blown off by Ohio State. Nothing. That's not really that surprising. Let's be real here. I do believe I thought that Florida State might have given Miami a run for their money, but all in all, that final score did not surprise me. It's close. 28-22 is respectable. But Florida State, after starting off the season really hot, beating Bama, has just kind of hasn't been able to maintain that. And I feel like only so many seasons of that. And just like with Penn State, like how long are you going to be able to maintain that? So that'll be interesting to see. And then Memphis beat Tulsa. Tulsa's just Tulsa. So Memphis is ranked though, so that's it's kind of cool for them. I also did watch. I also did watch the TCU Colorado game, and I feel like there's that conversation around Deion Sanders now. Mind you, when I was a child, I watched him play, so I didn't really watch him to remember. Amazing player, probably one of the most talented athletes of his time. He's not developing talent. Just he isn't, and that's unfortunate because when his sons were there, and he had Travis Hunter, amazing. But even then, I believe, Shitter Sanders, the starter at Colorado, only went 13-12. So I'm on the fence. So TCU is not the greatest of talent. I believe Sonny Dykes was still there. He's a good coach, and TCU is a solid team. But Colorado needs to win those games to finish out because I believe it was like 24-21 or something at one point in time, and or 21-21, and you know TCU pulled it out. 30, I believe the final score is 35-21. TCU showed up. They won, and doesn't matter how good of a coach you are if you're not winning games, you're not a good coach in the literal sense. So yeah, it's interesting to see what Colorado does because they're not going to fire Dion. He's brought a lot of attention to them, but you got to win those games. And no matter, and they've lost, if I remember correctly, they've lost a couple commits based on their lack of winning and so on and so forth. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that going forward. Um, I do believe that's not on here, but Clemson blew the doors off of North Carolina. So Dabo Swinney keeps his job for at least another day. Uh, but oh man, that Belichick experiment, mm-mm, not looking good. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, so it was a good week of football. I totally got caught by surprise. I will happily admit that I was way wrong about some of these. But you know what? Hey, that's what college football is like. A team shows up and one team just doesn't put the effort. That's good. Uh, we'll go real quick. Just look at the Michigan, Wisconsin recap real quick. No, the player stats here. Oh, yeah, there we go. So Bryce Underwood, 270 yards. That's good. It's not bad at all. A couple more touchdowns would have been nice, but all in all, 270 yards with no interceptions, fine. It's what you it's kind of what you want. Of course, the rushing game. Goodness, Michigan's rushing game is solid. Justice Haynes is starting to look like a Heisman Trophy back. 19 for 117. That's 6.2 average or two touchdowns. That's good. That is really good. So, yeah. And of course, Jordan Marshall putting in 44 yards at just shy of 5 yards a carry. That's not bad at all. And Bryson was put in a couple of yards. So, respectable, but you don't want your quarterback running too much, getting physical, getting those hits. It's not good, even though he is a big boy. The receiver, then Donovan McCulley went off. He had a couple just crazy catches. I don't know. I remember one in particular where they thought he was out of bounds for sure, and he got his foot down. Intense. More of that. Michigan needs more of that if they're going to beat higher end competition. So it's cool to see him stepping up. Andrew Marsh had 80 yards. Samaj Morgan, the senior, the guy there, he's the leader of all their receiving core, essentially. He had 44 yards, so that's good. Marlon Klein, good to see him back in the mix. And the Marshalls, they both had one apiece, Zach and Jordan. Um, Real quick, the drops. Players I don't know what's going on. I've never seen Michigan receivers in all my years. I know they've had, they dropped before, but the drops, something's got to happen. Like, it does not appear, at least from the observer. I'm not on the field, so that, take that for what it's worth, but it doesn't seem like Bryce Underwood's putting too much pop on those throws. The receivers just dropping these. And it's not the tight ends. Klein and Hansen, to the best of my knowledge, I don't see them dropping a bunch, maybe one or two. But the others, McCulley doesn't seem to have a problem, but March and Morgan, those two have had a few drops. So, um, yeah, that's tough. They gotta address that. You can't be doing that, especially when you're wide open. You have a chance to get yards after catch. Like, if Bryce Underwood's turned into a yak merchant, yards after catch merchant, because these guys are catching everything and they're winning games because of that, do it. Like, home runs are great, but yards after catch are super important. getting your first downs, like possessions, all that. So it takes the load off your run game, especially. So we need sh- Coach Moore and Coach Pogge and all, whoever it is that deals with that, put glue on their hands for all I care. You need to stop dropping the ball. I feel like everybody knows this at this point. Defensively wise, Michigan absolutely showed up. Yeah, Rolder, Moore. It was just a fine defensive showing. There was, Moore had a sack. There was a couple different sacks. There was a Rod Moore got himself an INT. Good to see him like showing up because he's an amazing dude. Essentially the captain of that defense. He's been around for a couple, like, almost, I want to say almost 5 years now, maybe for fourth year, fifth year. So great dude. I'd love to see him, get involved in the game more and more. So that's awesome. But yeah, Michigan's defensively wise was great. I believe, yeah, who was Rolder? I knew his name, didn't really know much about him, but he was he had a couple, he had 5 tackles and 2 assist tackles. And I believe he had a couple tackles for losses somewhere in there too. So really showed up. Awesome to see, guys stepping up and making Michigan's defense go from here, just getting that much better. It, Michigan's defense was good, but when guys who were not big names, quote unquote, are stepping up and filling the gaps that guys who left for the NFL, you love that because these are the guys who are going to lead the Michigan's defense once guys like Moore and TJ Guy are gone and Benny and all them. So awesome to see those guys stepping up. So really good. Yeah, returns were good. Dominic Zavada did miss a field goal, so it's kind of, you know, not great, but didn't cost him the game. So how much could I complain? Uh, then this Hollenbeck kid, almost 50-yard average on punt. That'll turn the field. So can't complain about that. But Zavada could be better, I think. But once again, can't complain so much. So. But yeah, so that's kind of my take on that. You can see the team stats here. Michigan once again crossing over 400 yards of offense. That's solid, really solid. They had more passing yards than rushing yards, which compared to how they've been running, that's a solid. You want to see that for sure. That brings that balance back into play. So last year, this was man, oh man, this is so much better than last year. So at this time of the season, so I'm really happy to see that. Yards per play, underrated in my opinion, where for not just outdoing the opponent, obviously, but yards per play play such a big role in possessions and keeping the opposing defense on the field and wearing them down. Because at the beginning of the game, that's not a big deal. You get towards fourth quarter, and you need to put those extra points to keep that gap. Super important. So it's good to see that going up too. All the other stats. Time possession was almost surprisingly equal. So, but it tells you a lot that Wisconsin had, it was relatively equal, but Michigan was able to do something with that as opposed to Wisconsin's. That says a lot about the quality of the team. So it's good to see. Either way, hey, a win's a win. So, yep. There'll be another video upcoming about I'll cover upcoming game against USC. But yeah, once again, happy to see Michigan playing better than last year and 4-1 with that. Hopefully, that quality loss, that loss against Oklahoma turns out to be a quality loss. So yeah, what a week in college football was. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you, and hope you all have a great rest of the week. Looking forward to some more football coming up. Peace.